Alright, so I've got our new motor. Reassembly is pretty straightforward. One thing to note that the screw holes are closer together on one side than the other, the same as they are on the plate, so that it cannot be oriented incorrectly. It has to go exactly the same. It's also important to note that the motor is left-handed to match the plate. So if you've got a right-handed motor, it will not work in this application. So you're going to need both hands. I'm just going to put this back together, put the screws back in it, and I'll join you again. While I'm doing this, I'd like to point out one trick that I've learned over the years. Start all 3 screws before you tighten any one, and that helps with your alignment to make sure that you get them all tight and you can't get that last screw in. That'll prevent that. Alright, so we've reassembled the motor. It is back on the regulator exactly like it was. We're going to reassemble exactly the same way. I use the lowering window method, so my hangers are in place, and I'm going to fish the regulator back into the door and just set the hangers so that the assembly is sitting in place, ready for bolts, and I'll see you then. Alright, so we've got the regulator hanging on the hanger bolts. As you can see, it's not very well aligned. Everything is loose. At this point, we want to go ahead and get a couple bolts in this bottom. You're gonna need to hold the regulator tight while you align that bolt. I'm gonna need 2 hands to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the bolt for the left regulator. I'm going to install the bolt for the right regulator, and I'm going to install the mounting bolt for the motor. Okay, all the bolts are in place as usual. I get all the bolts started, and then you can quickly run them in without fear of it not being aligned. Alright, so our regulator is remounted, but our window is not attached. So in order to reattach the window, one of these clamps are, once again, I just don't think you're going to be able to pick up much here, but there is yellow. You'll see the yellow clamps are sitting too low, which they had to be in order to clear the glass. So at this point I've got to reconnect the panel again and raise the window so that the yellow clamps slide right underneath the glass, and then I can retighten the clamps. Okay, so I reconnected the main harness to the door. I reconnected the harness to the motor. I turned on the car. I raised the window. Now at that point you're going to want to feel that clamp and make sure that it is sitting on the yellow plastic tab that is mounted on the bottom of the glass on both sides, here and there. If that is the case, you're ready to tighten your clamp bolts. There. And there. Now you should have control of the glass. You may want to reconnect the panel one more time and scroll the window up and down just to make sure you have no obstructions and everything's clear. Once you've done that, we are ready to reinstall our weather shield and then reassemble the door panel. Alright, I've got the weather shield back in place. Now one thing you may want to note here, the body panels, the clips that we removed when we popped the panel off, some of them stayed in the door, some of them stayed in the panel. And you can see that here, this one is gone, while this one is still here. What we need on the inside of the panel, we need all of the body clips to be in their holes. And you can see that one is missing. So what I want to do is remove the rest of these that are still in the door. And you can do that with they make a tool for this purpose. I use a screwdriver, and it just pulls out. The plug pulls out. And then once the plug is pulled out, you want to align it with the groove, the top groove, and snap it into the panel. If you don't do this step, when you reassemble the panel, it will not snap flush onto the door. And I'm going to need both hands, so I'm going to go ahead and do all of them and then come back. Okay, I've lifted the panel into place, or close. We're a couple inches away from the door. We are ready to reconnect the wiring harness and just push that clamp all the way around until it snaps. And okay, so the clip is intact, and now we are ready for the yellow cable that connects to the door handle itself. You're going to rotate the clip so the flat spot is up. Then you're going to line the ball up. I apologize for the video work here. This is difficult to do without a cameraman. Snap the clip into place, and then you'll see that there's a little slot, and if you pull back on it, it will feed into the slot and then allow the clip to come forward, and it is now attached. So the next thing we want to do while we're still holding the panel is set the door lip into the window, keeping the lock lined up with the hole. Once again, this is going to be a two-handed operation. Make sure you have the lock up in the unlock position so that you have enough clearance. Okay, so the panel is hung just at the top of the glass, just there. And we're still free, as you can see, all the way around. Everything is just resting on that. So make sure you get that lined up and you get tight against the glass. If you have about a ½ inch gap here between the glass and the panel, you're sitting in the wrong spot. So go ahead and get it. You should see it when it's hanging loose. You should have a minimal gap at the very, very top, and that tells you that you're in the right track. At that point, you're going to seat all of your body fittings. You're just going to give them a good firm push and work your way all the way around the door panel. Alright, our body clips are seated. Now we want to unscrew the two screws in that actually hold the panel in place. The only two screws in the panel. Once again, start them both and then seat them. And then the last step, we want to reinstall our controls. Start with the back. Be careful that this corner does not gouge the material on the side of the door. And also, you may run into trouble with this switch cover hitting the insulation. Just make sure you guide that through. It will snap back into place. Let's see, I got a little bit of dirt on the car. The wife will not be happy with that, so I'll need to clean that off. Alright, our door should be reassembled, and we should be ready to test the new window and see if we are functional. So I'm going to give it one tap, and that solved our problem. So there's been quite a bit of comments on the internet I've seen about this being a regulator issue. It's not a regulator issue, it is a motor issue. I did not replace the regulator. I used the same regulator and put a new motor in. Hope this helps you out. Have a good day.